We join the cast of Super Legit before the show as Steven notices something has changed.
I've got an unimportant question. Jet, did you get a new camera? Or are you as a person in higher definition?
I have trimmed up and allowed my face sides to become more visible. That's what we call them. That's what we call them in the industry, is face sides.
Face sides, yeah.
Yeah, I let this grow way too long, and I have one stylist I see, and she books months ahead of time, and I got lazy and didn't book her until several months ago. I was like, cool. January I needed a haircut. March it is.
It was really unruly. The last time I saw him, it was so much so that like I almost didn't want to give him a hug. It was which I get that now. I always thought like ladies would be like, I was like, you guys are freaking out too much over guys' beards. No, like as a dude hugger, I was like, whoa, this is a lot.
It was lucky I had the lasso. Otherwise, that would not have happened. But it fit the look. So
in England, I was walking through Chester and they have like barbershops. And so I went to this barbershop and I said, could I get the beard and the haircut done? He's like, yeah, cool. He goes, I'm busy. And it took him about 2 hours and he did like lotions and oils and and slaps your face a little bit. And like an hour and a half into it, I'm like, oh dude, this is going to cost like $200. Like legit. And at the end of it, he's like, do you like it? I'm like, yeah, it looks great. How much is it? And he goes, $30. I'm like, dude, yeah, I'm coming tomorrow too. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Let's get this done.
It was amazing.
Wow. For that price, I expect him to just hit me in the face with a copy of Field and Stream and then send me my way.
Yes. No, that's the American healthcare. Welcome back to another episode of the Super Legit Podcast, everybody. Hi, I am your host, Jet Kaufman, and I am once again surrounded by most of my favorite people. A couple people are missing this week. Allie Marsh, shockingly, could not be here this week. We are missing, who else are we missing here? Sean Michael Boozer. Sean Michael Boozer is out. And then, our co-host. Our co-host. Yeah, funny you should point that out, Josh, because, of course, without a co-host... Without Michael Hyman, we need to fill in.
We put this in right? This is a bylaw. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. All right. No, and I can see you know exactly where I'm going, Josh.
92-837A.
You want the job.
Yep.
So here we go. Our co-host for this week will be...
It's our time, baby. You too much.
David Escobedo, our special guest.
Yeah! Thank you so much.
Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I also know there's a lot of duties that come with being a co-host, so I'm going to just go over my list really quick.
Okay, yeah. Just review that carefully. We want to make sure
987-3AP. Bylaw.
I'm glad. Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that. You printed them out.
So. Yeah. You printed that whole Google Doc. Wow, that's impressive.
Geez.
And well bound.
That was the thing you asked me to print and send all the way to England?
Yeah. It's expensive. It's heavy, too, because it's all paper, you know.
Did that come out of the show's budget, Josh?
No, I paid for that. Because we
all right, I feel better.
Have no budget.
Yeah. No, that's very true. That's very true.
Thanks, Jeff.
Welcome, David.
Thanks.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome, David. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I think you guys do great work. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm actually honored. I'm really excited.
Ooh.
Aw.
Wow.
Sweet.
I'll take that.
That might be our first honored. I like it.
Yeah.
Are you going to start collecting those Stephen C. James, all the descriptions people give of how happy they are to be here?
I mean, as I said earlier, I love approval. So, for someone to be honored, that's like 3 feathers in a cap.
I think that allows us to now change the title to the Honorable Super Legit Podcast.
Right.
Oh,
I
If
believe
it pleases the court.
I think we're going to get knighted. Yeah.
Oh, it does.
Well, David, in all honesty, when we were thinking about guests to have on the show, honestly, we were talking about people who inspire us, people who we love playing with, and people who we definitely would want to have on. And you were at the very top of that list. So
yeah,
glad you can make it, dude. Seriously.
Wow.
Even across the pond.
Well, it's people who are enthusiastic and happy and love what they're doing and love this community. And like, that's, this is about our community in a lot of ways. This was about building it out of the people we connected with. and then bringing them in and championing them and having fun with them like we used to on stage with you and others.
That is the most heartfelt and touching description of building something out of people that I've ever heard.
It would normally be disturbing.
Yeah,
not this time.
But, like as un-Texas Chainsaw Massacre as it could possibly be.
There's a place called Kunahora in Prague, and we got a chance to go to it. It's called the Bone Church. I don't know if you've heard about it. But what happens is, the short story is their graveyard started overflowing. So one of the monks who couldn't see very well started taking the bodies and building like chandeliers and like huge art pieces with like the skulls and the bones. And after he finished, supposedly he gained his eyesight back. It's like an honor for doing all this kind of stuff.
That's fucking cool.
And it sounds really like macabre, and it sounds really dark.
And metal.
Yeah, but when you're there, there's something about it where it's actually really beautiful. And there's something about it when you're there, you're like, oh, this, because he's meaning to honor the dead and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. So talk about building something out of people. He literally built something out of people.
Oh, wow.
And that's one of those like intention things where it's like, listen, I meant well. You know, I may not have used the best tools, but I was clearly trying to do the right thing.
I mean, I do envision him as kind of a sitcom dad who's like, if I just turn these into furniture, no one will notice their corpses.
I really hope right next to the Bone Church is the original and oldest brick supply yard.
I also like to think that he regained his eyesight and was like, ah, like he just like, what if I thought this was lumber? And then it just
particle board.
What did everyone do with my logs?
Super.
Hey, honey. I wanted to tell you I'm so sorry that we lost Sparky this week. I know you loved Sparky very much.
It's okay, Mom. I'm recovering.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. I thought you were taking this much harder than that. You loved Sparky so much.
I'm taking it pretty hard, but you know what they say: when life gives you lemons.
I'm concerned about where that laugh is going. It wasn't the kind of laugh I usually like to hear from you.
Oh, well, I mean, no need to judge or anything, Mom. It's just that I realize that, you know, life is fickle and fleeting, and one day I'm going to be gone, just like Sparky, so I might as well enjoy it while I'm here. If I let myself stay sad too long, I might miss out on a golden opportunity to appreciate life further.
Oh my God, that's such a wonderful attitude. I got to take that in myself. I feel like I need to apply that to my life too. Oh my God, you are such a wise. How'd you get this wise? How'd you get this great outlook?
Oh, I don't know, Mom. I mean, just life and dealing with various things. I mean, I'm in school every day, and if there's anything that I've learned from being in school, nothing matters except for the moment.
Okay, so I'll trade you my chewy granola bar for your pizza Lunchable.
Sounds good. That chewy granola bar is all full of high fructose corn syrup. And if it triggers my familial trait of diabetes, then I'm going to wind up dying sooner than you.
Cut back.
It's nice that you're getting along so well with your classmates and everything. I mean, I think you clearly turn the worst into the best. I think it's lovely.
Well, thanks, Mom. I mean, after all, I'm raised by a parent who couldn't even decide to spend money on the dog to take him to the vet. But I'm not even going to let that be held against you, because I realize you've got a lot going on. After all, you've never really been ambitious at your job, which is why you couldn't afford it, because you didn't get a raise.
Wow. You really cut deep. But you're right.
I hope that didn't hurt your feelings, Mom. Hey, do we have any more biscotti in the fridge?
No, I ate it all at lunch. I ate all the leftovers because I am a selfish parent who only thinks of themselves.
No, Mom. It's not that you're thinking only of yourself. You're caring for yourself. You got to take care of yourself too, Mom, okay? If you want to eat all the biscotti, eat all the biscotti. Live for the moment, Mom. Live for the goddamn moment.
Okay, all right. I'm going to take the lesson. I'm going to ignore the language just for this occasion, because I'm really hurting on the inside as I recognize all the mistakes I've made through my life and all the ways my my little child just surpassed my emotional stability.
Hey, Mom.
Yes.
Mom, look me in the eye. Look me in the eye right now, Mom.
Okay, all right, yes.
Hey.
Yes, sweetheart.
Hey,
yes.
Mom. You got this, okay?
Huh.
I mean, just because you haven't stood up for yourself in the past doesn't mean that tomorrow you can't stand up for yourself, all right?
Okay.
You can walk in there and tell your boss, Mr. Anderson, listen, all right? I know the kind of place this could be if you gave me a bump up in level. If you want this place to continue to falter...
I'm listening.
Okay, all right. So, if I'm remembering this correctly, she said, I need you to bump me up to a place that I belong, and I deserve. Oh God! I knew I should have written this down. Oh my God! She's so much more. Hold on one sec. Can I get my daughter real quick? Can I just get her? She's right outside. I brought her in. It's for my
unusual, but I'm going to say let's go for it.
Okay, all right, sweetheart, can you do this for mommy? Yeah.
Hey, remember, every day a woman is honored in the workplace. She brings her daughter to work in her heart.
I've never thought about that or women in the workplace before, but you've really changed my attitude. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Hey, by the way, you should probably quit smoking. Those cigars will do a number on your heart. They might feel good right now, but they're not going to feel good later on when you want to run with your grandkids.
Oh, God, I never thought about my grandkids, or my children for that matter. Thank you. You have saved a life today. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm letting my personal life interfere with what you wanted to say.
No. I'm just appreciating this moment with you, sir. It's not often that I get to speak to one of my mom's elders, and I'd say, I don't think you appreciate my mom enough, but you know what? Just because you made mistakes today doesn't mean you can't do better tomorrow. What if you were to just carte blanche promote every woman in your workforce? What sort of message would that send?
You're right. If I would suddenly treat all women in this workplace the same, no matter what kind of achievement or personality or thing they do, just stop treating them as individuals.
I'm just the janitor. I don't think I should be promoted to vice president of the company.
That
I really
can't talk.
I'm just saying that I don't think it'll be very good for the company. I literally don't even know what you do here.
See, that's what we could use. The kind of fresh perspective that's brought by some person whose individual characteristics I haven't bothered to learn.
Well, there's none to learn. I just know how to sweep.
Well, sorry about the lawsuits, but I am 11 and in the midst of grief, so
That's
maybe I
okay.
didn't give the best advice.
I'm taking my bindle and riding the rails off to the West Coast.
Live in the moment.
Now, as God, I want you to know, it's never our intent to take a child back up here so early, but as you said earlier, you know you did have diabetes, so we are happy to have you.
I sure did. Enjoyed every Zagnut bar on the way down.
We have a special place for you up here. I think you'd be good at the pearly gates. You check people in,
What?
see if they're in the Lamb's Book
That's
of
a
Life.
great gig.
Just for you.
Wow. I'm a
think-
people person.
You're making me train my fucking replacement? I'm St. Peter. I've been here for thousands of years. I don't do the math. It's a blur.
You know,
Are you going to make me train my goddamn replacement?
When was the last time they let a woman try, huh?
That's all I'm saying. It's been at least 2,000 years.
It's been a lot longer, God, I'm going to say. But look,
I'm Mary
fine. You know what?
Magdalene, and they've never even asked me.
Quiet,
See?
Mary. Well, see.
That's the God I know. Look, fine. You know what? You take it. You think this is easy? You want to stand up here and tell some kid who came in, hey, by the way, your parents forgot to baptize you, and so you're going to have to go in there with limbo, a room full of unbaptized babies, so you'll spend eternity with other people who aren't potty trained and can't talk.
Hey, Peter, there's your problem, Peter. You're keeping people out. Why don't you just let everybody in? Come on, Peter.
You think I don't want to do that? You think I like being the bad guy? Look, we got a guy who's paid to be the bad guy. Yeah,
Hey,
I got to be the bad
The
guy.
bad guy's downstairs, just for the record. He's downstairs. Everybody's good up here. Just saying.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm the one who sends people to the bad guy. All right? I'm worse than bad news. I'm letting you know you have bad news.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna let you think about this. But why didn't you just choose not to be the bad guy? You had a moment, every moment for the last however many years you've been here.
It's been a lot.
Just say, maybe my boss wasn't saying the right thing. Maybe I should stand on my own.
St. Peter, wow, you lost your job today.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you know what? The layoffs, you just don't see them coming.
No, I mean, and you think they give you like 2 weeks notice. It's heaven and stuff. Now you're going to lose access to your health care? That's horrible.
Not even like an ethereal gold watch. I'm just gone. Right?
At least you've been investing in your 401, so when you retire, you'll have that money left over in heaven.
Well, here's the thing. The 401k in heaven, it's just a plate they pass along. You put your money in.
Oh, okay, well.
Gets it?
Really? You don't see a percentage of that at all?
He keeps the tips, too. Nothing. I get no points on the package.
Oh, dude, that's going to be tough. Well, I think it's probably best just to jump back in there and look on monsters.com for some job replacements for St. Peter.
You think I'm a little old to retrain?
2,000? Do you think that's old?
I feel like I'm going to go in and I'm going to feel like I don't have that youthful vigor. Just because, I've been dead for longer than maybe their entire family line has been on Earth.
Before you go in there, I just need to let you know our CEO was just promoted. It's really good news for anyone new coming to the company. She used to be the janitor. So good luck.
Great. Hey, let's hear for career change.
Yeah. Okay. So
you can come in now.
Oh yeah. I was gonna buzz you, ma'am, but you're right. She only knows sweeping.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, an intercom.
Come on in,
There's an
I
intercom.
guess.
Right. So you don't need to stand in your doorway. You can go sit behind your desk.
Oh,
but
okay.
If you
I was just gonna sit by the trash can and wait for somebody to throw something in it. But I'll go
Not
back
your
here
job
and
anymore.
sit.
But
that's kind of just how my old job felt.
Oh, really?
Look at that common ground. I'm gonna go. Would you like coffee?
I mean, do you want me to get it?
No. I'm your assistant. I'll do it. I got it.
I just don't know what that word means.
I'll be right back. You two chat.
Okay. All right. Bye. This is so confusing. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my God! When he pressed that button and that little box across the room started talking, what the hell's going on?
I was like, who's in there? A little person? Are they trapped? Do I need to help?
How did they fit in there?
I
almost broke the thing open.
I did too. I've just been sitting here hanging onto my broom, which is the only thing that makes sense to me. And just like this trash can is not going to fill itself, I'm the only one in here.
It's like you were looking into my soul. You and I, we are so on the same page.
I gotta say, it's like I'm looking at a soul. You're basically kind of see-through. Those are big wings.
I'm a little bit ethereal. You guys don't have a rule against hiring dead people, do you?
I mean, I don't know. So I guess I don't know.
All right, I'll take it.
So I guess it's fine. I mean, they told me I can make any decision. You seem like a nice person. I have no idea what you'll be doing, where you'll be sitting, where you're parking. Well, I can tell you that if you fill a trash can, I will be taking it away. And that's the only thing I can tell you about your job. I don't even know who pays you.
Whatever you want me to do, I can do it. And guess what? If you need somebody to stand at that front door and tell people to go to hell, I got years of experience.
You know what would be great? Do you have any trash in your pockets that you could put into this trash can? That would actually, if you could do that, if you could just find some trash, put it in this trash can so I have something to do today. That would be, or if you have any dirt on your shoes that you could just scrape off and put in a pile that I could sweep up. That would would be incredible.
I'm a few inches above the floor.
But
yes. I do have trash in my pocket. Let's see if it stops at the bottom of the trash can.
It turned into a dove and flew away.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's recycling where I come from.
Okay, got it.
Legit.
That wouldn't end, and I didn't want it to.
That is 50% of the reviews I usually get.
So we generally have a question on the show. We usually get to it sooner, but we had such a great long scene that we're going to get to it now. So I'm going to throw this one out to my wonderful crew of friends here. What's the biggest intentional life change you ever made? It's a relatively simple question, I think. Oh, I see Steven's hand up. What have you got, Steven?
I moved to California. Awesome. I mean, in 1999, I graduated college, and I decided to move to California.
And that was from Texas, right?
Yeah, that was from Texas. Because I was in Texas last week, and there was a lot of reflection on that because it's been a good long time, and that was my a good chunk of time there, kind of on my own for the first time in a while. And yeah, I moved to California in 1999, and because of that, I found this job, which then led me to deciding to do improv, so I could get more training in that job as a drama teacher, which then led to me making a bunch of friends in improv, which led to me then having a minor tip with one friend on a New Year's Eve that made me realize I needed to be dating more, which led to me signing up to a website so I would then later meet my wife.
Josh.com.
Actually, eHarmony. It worked for me.
I did eHarmony for a little while too.
I met mine on OkCupid.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
This was back. This was like 2011, 2012 when it was free and
in a newspaper.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yes. It was.
That's how dating used to work.
Newspaper.
Yeah.
And I mean, technically, Chris Compton met his wife at secondcity.com.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
At the website.
Gotta sign up for classes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and now I got a kid, and I own a house in Burbank. And I'm on this podcast. Like, all of that was the domino, was like me deciding, hey, I'm gonna go to California and see how that works for like 5 years, 20 something years ago.
Why did you make that decision? Like, was there context of like, I need to improve the situation, or was it like a dream of seeing something better over there, or a combination, or what?
I had always wanted to explore California. I'd always wanted to live in California. And I had a friend out here who was pursuing acting. I had no desire to perform acting or ever be on stage. I was planning on going to be a teacher, which nailed that one. But I knew that when I left Texas, I knew that I didn't want to stay in the area of Texas I was in. But I also knew when I left, I wanted to be going to something as opposed to just leaving something, And so I was like, okay, I want to go to California and I want to try that. I want to see what that's like. And it was just like, it's been pretty much home run all time ever since.
Looking back on it, you probably can go like, oh, that's a great decision. But at the time, was it scary as hell? Like, were you like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Oh yeah, it was scary as hell. Like I lived at home through college. So it was really like my first time doing a lot of the grown-up stuff, like living on my own and figuring that stuff out. And like my job, I'm a school teacher. So pretty soon my major source of income was like, hey, person who's just now being an adult for the first time, you got to stand in this room and be an adult in front of everybody for the first time. And it has fortunately worked out amazingly well.
Super.
Now listen, Chris, I understand you're going to take 3 ships and sail across the sea to discover the new world, but I'm just saying, don't be disappointed if there isn't a forest made of dark chocolate.
Okay, I just find it strange. Where your accent go?
I've been working very hard to just have a non-specific region accent. Okay?
You are the king of Spain?
Where's your accent from?
I am a
if we're throwing people under the rug, where's your accent from?
We're throwing people under the rug? No.
Under the rug?
Captain
No.
Ships, I'm explorer. I am very cultured.
You sound very
I have
Russian.
been
I mean,
around the world. Please don't tell me where I'm going. I know where I'm going. I know where I've been. Okay?
Okay, because when you submitted your request for 3 ships, you said you wanted to find the land of chocolate and sweets. And
spices.
I have to admit, I am partially interested, but I'm not sure this is going to actually pan out.
Just trust me, okay? Once you go past the middle of the ocean I've already explored, it's China.
And what'd you find in China?
I haven't. This is why I want 3 ships to go there. I want one called Nina, one called Santa Maria, and the other, I don't know.
King Gaspar sounds great. King Gaspar?
Yeah, okay, sure. We'll see if that changes. Anyway, I want the ships to go so I can make it to China. But preferably India. Have you heard about the spices there?
No, tell me about the spices.
It's where they currently they go across land, and I'm just saying if we go across the water, it's quicker.
Okay.
And look, if I happen to run into magical forests of chocolates and sweets, I think
you're selling me a bill of goods here, Chris. I think you're selling me a bill of goods here. I on paper, we were talking about dark forests, chocolate forests, and now we're talking about just regular spices here. Like, I want... Are you going to bring back some candy?
Oh, no, regular spices. What spices do you even have right now? What, salt? Pepper?
You don't like pepper?
No. Have you heard of curry? Me neither. I want to discover this.
Are you going to miss me? I want you to miss me a little bit. Please
of course, I will miss my king. I do this for you and the queen.
Okay, just you're gonna name that ship, right? I feel weird now that I lost my accent long ago. I changed that.
It's fine.
I realize that I'm just sitting here, the queen.
Oh, God damn it! What?
And I know I'm not supposed to be in here, but I just want to say that I approve of this trip. And that, I'm really into this idea of the chocolate and the spices. It all just makes a lot of sense. All this business plan you've laid out in a series of questions and meandering like areas of information. I think we should put the entire monies of all of Spain behind it.
If we're going to talk about questioning accents here, I have something to point out.
No, this is a legitimate Spanish accent. Am I wrong?
I was being more sarcastic. I was just trying to give the king there a little jab for his jabs earlier.
See.
Yes,
he lost his accent years ago. He was frightened by a cow that kicked him, and then suddenly he speaks like, I don't even know what he speaks like because that place hasn't been invented yet.
So, the cow kicked me, and then I feel he laughed at me, and it was because of my voice. I want to change up my voice.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Oh, this is going to be hard.
What Aya and the other leprechauns say. May the road rise beneath your shillelagh. You take this pot of gold, and this hat with the clover on it, and this seething racism and misogyny, and you will be the king of all of Spain. And now, I must follow that a rainbow.
Thank you. I will appreciate my time in Barcelona, but I will change my voice. For now, I will truly be the king. Thank you.
Legit.
There you go.
By the way, I believe we do have a sponsor this week. Now, Josh, as you, of course, know very well, Hyman, as our co-host, normally reads the ads. And so he did, of course, pick someone to be his replacement. So you know where I'm going with this, Josh. Chris Sanders, can you please read the ad that Michael Hyman got for us?
Yes, I will do that. I've got it right here.
Great.
Hey parents, sick of your gross kids always picking their nose? And they're always doing it when you're trying to watch Steve Harvey? You're never going to get them to stop, so why not make it a game with Pogonos from Boys Toys, the makers of You're Right, Everybody Hates You, and Nope. Comes Pogonos. All you need is at least one of your children. Just tell them to poke a nose, preferably theirs. But if others want to join too, it's fun for your friends and family. Don't worry about the rules. Once you get a finger inside, the fun really starts. Dig deeper, and you're sure to find buried treasure. Pogonos from Boys Toys. The results are unpredictable.
I remember playing the first version of Everybody Hates You on the NES.
Yes. Yeah.
God, that was so good. Infinite repeat. So just like I couldn't put it down.
You get all the newspapers just come flying through your window. Because it was set in the same universe as Paperboy, so it's just it was one of those first cross-universe video games. It was great.
Is that really a video game?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Paperboy, yes.
Yeah,
it's a first-person version of Everybody Hates Chris.
They couldn't get the rights to Chris Rock, so they just made it everybody hates. Yeah.
And this is the NES, which means they couldn't get the rights from him from CB4, which was it should have been an easier time to get the rights to Chris Rock.
Imagine like the old school like RPG version of that game of Everybody Hates You. Does everybody hate you? Yes or no? No. Yes.
Roll for yes.
Well, if it's a role-playing game, then the answer is yes.
David, something tingles in the back of my head. I suspect you have an interesting question to that last answer too. That might be a piggyback off of Steven's.
Or answer that last question.
Oh, totally. So one of the biggest intentional decisions I make is I moved to England. So I used to work for a local municipality in LA. So I had a really good paying job, $80,000 a year, and like full benefits. It was like the best benefits in the state of California. My wife,
gotta rub that in.
We were we were talking about barbers earlier, and my wife was a high-end hairstylist, and she was making more money than I was as a high-end hairstylist. Wow. She used to do these things called Brazilian. Nice. She used to do this thing called Brazilian blowouts, where you get like the brush.
Oh yeah.
And so and then you get the hair dryer, and you but you do that like for
ASMR
hours.
Podcast.
This is done to your pubic hair?
No. Oh, the Brazilian is different. A Brazilian blowout. That's interesting.
I feel a scene coming on.
Due to your lack of pubic.
You could really confuse those two and get into trouble.
2 out of those 3 words are fit in the right place.
I mean, I guess depending on your pubic hair, you could get a Brazilian blowout to your pubic hair, but not generally speaking, I don't think.
Right, yeah.
Did you say not genitally speaking?
Oh boy.
Okay.
I hope we did.
Leave that in.
So doing that like hours a day, like her arms would go numb because you're doing the same repetitive action.
Yeah.
And so she was, at the time, I believe she was 27 or 28. And she's like, she would have her back go out and she'd have her arms go numb. And I'm like, dude, you are so young to be having all these problems with your body. So we both read this phase in our career because my job place started getting really toxic, where her dream had always been to live in another country. And I was like, if we're going to move, now is the time to move. And so we didn't have kids.
You were really ahead of that.
Yeah. We didn't have kids. And it was just like we're both in our careers where we both wanted to change. So we moved to England. So that's where we're moving to England.
Wow.
She went to school at this place called Mud, which was like special effects for TV and movies.
Yeah. I've been there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then she went to hairstyling. But she never did like her undergrad. She never did her like a degree. So we moved over here and she got her degree in travel tourism. Well, here's one of the things, just to kind of shout out my wife, how amazing she is.
Love it.
So one of the reasons she tried a semester in New York and she did not do very well because she's dyslexic. So whenever the teacher would write stuff or that I'm reading, she always fell further behind because not only was there the inability to do that, there was shame over falling behind everyone else and feeling not as intelligent when it has nothing to do with intelligence.
No. Yeah.
So she failed out of her first semester of traditional academics. But now that we moved here and she's older and she is more aware, she not only graduated over here, it's called graduating with a first, which is like graduating with honors kind of thing. She won 3 awards and she was up for 5 awards. So the university.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And so she has her degree in travel tourism, and her thesis was on film tourism, that you visit places because they were in movies and stuff like that. But that was the big move, is moving to England. We both gave up really good careers, and now I'm broke as shit. I don't have any money at all now. But
but you got that sweet NHS going.
Oh my God, that's huge.
Yeah, that's a huge.
Yeah, how long have you been there?
We've been here 3 years now. So yeah, the NHS is huge actually, because now now that I've left America, I had this thought recently. You can look back at America and go, how fucked is our medical system? It is so shit. With the pharmaceutical companies and everything make it worse.
I got a medical bankruptcy under my belt, so I am right there with you.
Yeah.
So David, here's another softball for you. Do you do any improv over in England? Do you still do improv?
I do. Improv.
Yeah, what's the scene like?
It's really fun and kind of chaotic here.
It's not bollocks.
It's not.
Good one, Chris.
Another word they use is bellend. Bellund. Bellend. And I had to ask people what it meant, and it means
I
bell.
know.
It's a penis.
And it's a penis, because like a bell.
Yes,
and,
penis head, yeah.
Oh, a bellend.
Bellend.
Got it.
Yeah.
Bellend.
Little Dicky.
That's what
It doesn't end with Sebastian.
But the improv scene is so awesome because it's so new. It's almost like being 5 years behind what's going on in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's great.
So you have like a lot of like really independent companies. There's not like 2 or 3 companies that dominate the narrative. There's maybe like 2 companies that are really big. So that's good because there's a lot of different philosophies and ideologies. And like, if you wanted to, you could just start up a company and you're competitive with any other like larger company around you. That's what makes it good. What makes it bad is it doesn't have the credibility yet. So if you wanted to teach classes, people are like, $10 for a class, that's a little high. So it doesn't. So there's.
What if you give them a great haircut while you're teaching them improv? Then it's good value.
Money. Can get my beard done. Get oils.
I gotta give you some. I gotta give you some flowers, man. Like I remember when you first started the Improv Boost. Like you're on fire for improv. I remember you'd be starting shows and events, and in the same community. I'd be promoting shows and teams, and then I remember that you were moving and you're still doing it. And I was like, oh, so he's just gonna like create a whole scene in England, and everyone's just gonna listen to him. And then like everybody started listening to you, and you started promoting more stuff. Oh, so he's just gonna have like workshops and promote teachers and help people fall in love with improv, right? And then everybody started falling in love with improv, and you started getting more people involved. And I think that is just the awesomest thing. Like I'm so happy and proud and green with jealousy that you get to do that, because that's so much fun watching people fall in love with improv for the first time, and I'm so glad you're doing that over there. So flowers to you, big guy.
Bravo.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I do get like a lot of flack for sure. Like I get a lot of emails that are like kind of like produce my stuff. It's like I'm not a producer. I don't have any money.
Right.
Yeah. Like I literally get people be like, I want to teach over there. I'm like, okay, like I don't know you. Like
cool.
people will just send me stuff. Yeah.
My qualification is I'm the only person who does the things he talks about. Like that's it.
right. I mean, it's the perfect example. Josh and I have talked about this a bunch. Like sometimes showing up is enough, and it's amazing how hard it is to show up for most people. And like you were one of those people who always showed up. It's like, we've played with you so much in so many places when you were here, because you were always there. Like you were always making the effort and putting in the time, and like that always, that's for one thing how you gain skills, but it's also like how people know who you are and how people trust you, and how you get opportunities. You get to, you had so many different teams you were on and were building and were running, the teaching you're doing, and like that's it. So it's always impressive to see someone who really does it, and the results show.
That's like, if you like been around a scene long enough, like that is the thing you learn, like, is that, oh, it's the people who just keep doing it. Like,
right?
Yeah. I mean, Steve and I have done a show together for 15 years, which is insane. But that was the thing. Like when we started, it was like, oh man, everybody's like, it must be some like meritocracy of people who rise to the ranks. Like, no, you just kept showing up. Yeah. Like we're still here. You're still doing it. Like, and that's what makes, like, that's an institution is just a person who hasn't realized it's time to go home.
So one thing, my uncle Tommy, who passed away quite a few years ago, he was very influential in my life. He was an artist, and he instilled a couple values in me. One of the values is people get like entrenched in the genre of the artwork. Like if they want to be a painter, they're like, I'm going to be a painter, and they kind of ignore everything else. And he was very big of like, what's your message? And if your message is best conveyed by painting, that's awesome. But it could be conveyed by painting and poetry and music all at the same time. So he's like, you don't have to stay loyal to the art form, to stay loyal to your voice and find the best venue to express it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Quick point. It's just that there's too many purists in each art form. Like, there's this awful animosity between improvisers and stand-up comedians. I think it's more often unidirectional from stand-ups to improvisers, that they hate you. If you are a stand-up, you should not be caught dead doing improv. But then there are improvisers that don't like stand-up comics, but I'm just saying it's really silly because it's 100%. It's the same form of art. It's just choose your message. I love that, how you get it out. You're still doing art.
Yeah.
It's like in my hometown, I grew up in the deep South, and like, you didn't have like goth kids and straight edge kids and like death metal kids and whatever, because what you were to the outside world was insert homophobic slur who was going to get your ass kicked. And like nobody was going to sit there on the outside and appreciate your tiny differentiation.
Absolutely.
You were just a walking punching bag.
Yeah.
But like the good thing about that was that nobody was too pure about things because like there weren't enough of you to be a dick about it.
Yeah.
Like you like had to be like, this was the only people who had your back. So you might as well like, you know what? Let's just tolerate each other's differences. Would not said frequently in South Carolina.
Josh, you're champing at the bit. Go for it.
Oh yeah. So no, I think I'm just gonna jump on that, make a pattern of agreeing with David here. I think it's that all hands on board really makes that community go work, and you need all the types, especially when you're building that community. I remember when I was just like focusing on my team and just booking shows for my team, it'd be like, yeah, I was the purest asshole. Oh, we only do deconstruction. Oh, you're a montage guy? Oh, go fuck yourself.
Oh,
whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And then once I started building shows and you need to like have a network of people, it's like, oh yeah, these people do clown. These people do, soundtrack stuff where it's just set to music or, silent improv and then, as soon as we started booking shows, then monthly shows and then once Jet and myself, we started, booking a theater. You need everybody. You need sketch, storytelling, anybody who just has
magicians
fire for it.
Yeah.
It's
the distaste in your voice as you said that word was mind-boggling.
It was a bit. I've known some very fun, great magicians.
We get it. You hate magicians.
Some of my best friends are magicians.
Yes.
But yeah, no, Josh, I remember those purist days that we had. Absolutely. And, it wasn't just you. Like we all had, we really, a bunch of us had that real attitude.
The whole team was like that. That's why we did 150 shows. We
do really dark grounded improv.
Blood cancer, deal with it.
Oh my God. All this other stuff is ridiculous. And eventually it came down to, or we can just do the best show for the moment. And sometimes that show is going to be nothing like what we planned and it's going to be fun. And that's all that's going to matter is that everybody enjoyed it.
Back when there was such a thing as improv theaters, and people would get really dogmatic about the one they'd chosen.
Yeah.
Like, my team is the best. And like, it was never the people who taught or performed at those theaters because they had clearly trained at all of them. The people who were the most passionate about it were this was like dogma is a substitute for talent. And it's like, if you are proud of what you are not, then you are not.
And Compton, let me tell you what, I was the most dogmatic.
Yes. And as soon as you started letting that go, everything else on stage probably got a whole lot easier.
Oh, and guess what? I started having friends, and they started wanting to play with me, and then we started a whole fucking thing. Imagine how that happens when you say yes and in an improv community.
Well,
Weird.
Can I tell an ugly truth about improv? I think we can all
also
say,
known as a truth about improv.
Yeah. We've all been to long form shows where we were like, well, that was interesting.
A show. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember a lot of people would be like, very much like long form, man, long form. And I got that way too. Where it's like, yeah, man, long form. And then I started doing the kids show at Second City, which was all short form and super fun, silly games. And I was like, every time I left, I was like, like had the most fun. And it was so great. And like at the end of that show, we did a high five line where like everybody got on either side and we high fived all the kids that were leaving and all the parents and everything. And I was just like, oh my God, it's because everybody had so much fun. From like everybody like in the booth, everybody in the audience, everybody on stage. And it was like, oh yeah, that's right. This is art and entertainment. And it can be both.
I was one of those guys you just described. I was like, oh, what's your favorite team? Oh, it's not Beer Shark Mice. No, you're wrong. You don't know anything about improv. But one of the best shows I've ever seen is a comedy sports short form show. Like it's just the speed. Like I thought, I was like, how did they do that? Like I love short form. I don't think it gets nearly the credit it deserves.
I still do short form for that very reason because it's
I know.
super fun.
Yeah. Very, very fun.
Yeah. It's super fun, and it's not like, long form's great too. I feel like the longer that I've been doing improv, the more I'm like, all forms are great. Like, why do you have to be, I mean, exactly where we started. It's like, why do you have to choose one particular way of doing something? Each one is its own experience, and each show is its own experience. To say that one is going to be consistent, I mean, that's part of the joy of it, is that you can see a group that's like amazing and then have them see them have an off night and go like, oh, they're humans.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mission
That's
Improbable,
just the gamble
baby.
you do.
It's really awful that that the kind of the creation of long form, after a few years, when what Compton said, dogma became a substitution for talent, where it became so like each different form of long form became so specific that it created very explicit rules in an art form where there's not supposed to be rules other than like don't negate, just yes and everything. That's pretty much it. And it makes it impossible to perform it, and it makes it impossible to enjoy it.
You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. You're still using an armpit to make fart noises? Around here, we are whoopee cushion or nothing. God damn it. Next thing you know...
I believe that I'm using a more natural method, that mine does not actually pollute the earth.
I believe that I'm fueling myself the way that Jonathan Whoopi, who I studied under, by the way, inventor of the whoopee cushion, would have wanted me to.
Well, I have to say...
Gentlemen.
Go, you go.
Gentlemen, this is silly. I mean, all methods are valid. Some, though, take a bit more commitment than others. I can't believe neither of you have come around to beans.
Beans. Please. The old-fashioned way, relying on the human body to fart, is exactly why people no longer spend time at the fartoriums that they used to have. All right? That's why fartoriums of vaudeville died.
If I could throw in Jonathan Armpit, because the expression of the body is an expression of the culture and the individual life experiences. You cannot get an idiosyncratic view from a whoopee cushion that's mass-produced.
If you are not a method farter, what are you? I mean, it's almost the word methane right there. It's intentional. It's precise. It's commitment. It is passing the art form through your body, through your gastrointestinal tract. I mean, how much more personal can you get into an art form?
I have a counter to that, because if a child at 2 months can do what you're doing, there's nothing respectable about it. You're not doing anything that takes training. An armpit, you have to learn. You have to train to make the art noise.
Jesus and Christ, I am tired of listening to all of you guys. These are all inefficient moves. You want to talk about A-B moves? None of you guys are doing the lip method. It's 100% guaranteed every time. Look, every single time you get the same one. If you try putting in the armpit, sometimes you miss, huh? And then you're on stage and you guys don't know what you're talking about.
Am I the only one that's going to armpit fart during this jam session?
Legit.
I've never learned how to do that with your arm. That's why I try to do it.
I'm so jealous.
I've never learned how to do that.
Nor can I.
I think it's easier when you're a child and where you shave your armpits.
I spent
so you can
so
get a
much
proper
time
seal
as a child, though, just waving my arm erratically and failing every time. I just
see that, but that's how Charlie Parker got good, right? You just practice those scales every day.
To bring us back to that whole concept of like just showing up, that's like the armpit thing. Is you just got to do it every single day.
Yeah. Well, coincidentally, David, Sanders wound up with the same injury that your wife had from practicing his armpit farts. Like his arm would go numb, his back was hurting.
My back would go
just
out.
The same repetitive motion for hours and hours.
Yeah.
He used to hang himself upside down, right? To get the...
And then also to bring us back to that institutional thing, the other thing my Uncle Tommy used to say to me is that artists are compulsive. That you could teach someone to have all the skills of an art form. They could take all the best classes and they could be good at those techniques. But if they leave that class and never do that thing again, they're not an artist. Where you can have someone that has no skills and you might think their technique is horrible, but if they're doing that thing, if they're drawing every single day, and you might think those drawings are horrible, but they're just a bad artist, but they're still an artist. So he used to say, like, if you put me in jail, I'd probably still be creating stuff because I can't not create something. It's something about
boy.
Beautiful.
Like musicians, particularly like classical musicians and dancers. Every other artist is a lazy bastard compared to like you talk to somebody who's like my boss at my job is a like former dancer who is now like a nonprofit CEO.
Excuse me, do dancers know how to time jump during the scene? Yeah, that's what I fucking thought.
I know how to actually jump through the scene.
Like when you're a dancer, you get up at 6:00 in the morning and go rehearse for like 4 hours, and then go to school, and then leave school and rehearse for another 4 hours.
Yeah.
Starting when you're like 12 years old, or like if you were like a serious like classical musician. You're starting when you're like 6 years old, practicing 4 or 5 hours every day. And like,
show me how to A to C on a Third World Herald.
Yeah, but that's like what makes what makes you do it is the idea that every time you go, you know what, I could be a little bit better tomorrow.
That's great.
And like that is like that's somebody who's going to actually do that.
But
is somebody who's
some
like
of those dancers, for some of those classic musicians. The idea of why they're getting up that next day is because, you know what? I could get in trouble with mom tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's valid. Yeah. There's a lot of that history.
Right. Or this flute won't kick my ass tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of A to C'ing, Josh, I know you had something. What was your big A to C moment in life?
Well, wait, what was
did intentionally?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Rephrase the question again. I want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah. So it's what's the biggest intentional life change you ever made?
Yes. Okay, I got two of them. One will be quick, and then the one will be about my dad, as always. So the first one was taking that improv class, right? Shout out to Paul Valancourt, Dave. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm in his class, level 1, and he's like, "Show of hands, who's here for the improv class?" And he goes, "Why are you taking this improv class?" And people were like, "I want to be funny. I'm an actor." I had my hand up, and then he goes, "You, sir, why are you taking an improv class?" And I said, "I saw Saturday Night Live, and I would love to be on that show." And he goes, "You're taking an improv class?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to be on Saturday Night Live." He's like, "Okay, let's talk after class, but glad you're here." And then he introduced me to what sketch was. I love Paul Valancourt. He made sure I at least stayed for the first class and got me roped in, and then told me what sketch was. The other thing about my dad, this isn't bad this time, I don't think. Thanks for the therapy, guys. Appreciate it. Feeling a lot better. No. I was 8 years old, and we're driving in through the valley, and we pass Sunrise Little League on Victory Boulevard, and we're at a stoplight, and there's 3 fields, and I see all these kids in uniforms playing baseball, having the time of their lives. And I'm an only child, and I see this. And apparently, from what I was told, I burst into tears. And my dad's like, "Oh shit." He's like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" He's like, and I literally point and I said, "I want to do what those guys are doing." And then like the next day I started learning how to play baseball. Yeah. And then how that went is my first tryout. I couldn't catch anything. I couldn't throw anything. I went to go bat, and they put a baseball through the pitching machine, and it I break my thumb because the ball hits my thumb at like 50 miles an hour.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. But I stayed with it, and it was the first team sport I ever played, and I did that all through elementary school, junior high, high school. I almost went to college doing like a walk-on thing for baseball. And that was the first thing I learned about team sports, and really learning how to deal with people. And as a person who's an only child, all those people, I really fall into those brother and sister patterns super easily because it's always been a team. And I think that's why I kind of was like a duck to water with improv. It's like, oh, I don't know these people, but we're going to be on the same page, and we all love each other in this art form, and we're going to be great at it because we're doing it. Great, let's go. So it seems like those two stories are intertwined. Great move, Josh. Thank you.
I was gonna initially ask you, when you drove past the people playing baseball, was it really the active baseball or the active community that drew you?
It had to be the active community. It had to be, right? Even at that young age, because I remember being just a child sitting in my room playing Zelda, playing I Hate Myself on the NES with the Paper Boy, and just I just remember I still remember it. It burned in my brain. It was like it's like a spring day, so it's bright. The sky's like that electric blue. I remember one of the team was the Cardinals because they were wearing like that cardinal red jerseys, and the Dodgers because it was royal blue, and just that
the Dodgers and the Cardinal, they were playing on the kid field.
Yeah. I think it was '94, so there was a strike. It was a strike shortened season, so they needed to have places to practice, and Piazza was there, and he's a good guy.
To borrow a Paul Valancourt term, I mean, it seems like the baseball indeed was a currency for like that team connection.
Damn, 100%.
Overanalyze, but it does kind of sound like I mean, baseball was what
Jet. That's spot on.
You saw people having fun as a group thing, as a connection to each other, and like baseball was how they achieved that, and now improv is how you achieve that, and like it's whatever it is, it's the currency.
And for all of that, I really developed a community there. Going back to what David said, because for all the shit I like to spill tea about my dad on, like he was the best coach. I remember he would take us all to like Dodger games, Angel games. Like we would have weekend sleepovers together. Like it was such, that community vibe. That I've always been attracted to that for sure.
To tie your story and Steven's together, I moved out to LA 20 years ago.
We're definitely in the third beat of
knowing
like
two this. People, but and then 10 years later, I've been out here for a while, and like my parents would say, "Hey, our friend's kid is moving out to LA. Can you talk to him and just give him some advice about moving to Los Angeles?" And the advice I would always give is like Los Angeles is 10 million people in LA County. That's and if you try to live in a county of 10 million people or a city of 10 million people, you're going to lose your mind. And so you want to find your small town. What is that small community that you can go be a part of? And for me, it was Second City and Improv, but be a local little bar that can have its downsides. But whatever, volunteer somewhere, go to the same laundromat all the time. And also not a great one. But
that shit is so true. The bar at IO West, man. Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Is it just find that small town of people where you can have a role? You can say, "Oh, I'm the person who is like this," and and that's the way you can survive in it. Because otherwise, you being one person out of 8 million, you are you're a speck of dust, and you'll go crazy.
So I don't know. I'm doing my PhD right now in drama, and I'm studying improv. That's what my PhD is in. And so one of the things I study is Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown.
Oh,
and she says that we have a lot of shame. Everyone experiences shame. And the way that we heal from that is by moments of collective sorrow and collective joy. So that's what I think why people are drawn to improv is because there's a bunch of people in a room, and you might not talk to other audience members or the people on stage, but you all laugh at the same things, or you all find the same things touching. And so when you're talking about a small town and the bar thing, I think that's how we heal, because there's so much divisiveness online, or there's so much politics gets us arguing against each other. But if you find that improv community or that bar at IO, there's a lot of healing that goes on. Or baseball, what Jet said about currency, I think that's totally valid. Totally.
I love that point. I love the point that you're making. I remember we did especially with the Armando shows, we had a show at Acme called Allegedly, and it was the same cast, and you really get a feel for everybody. But we had one show where her name was Grace Harriman, and she was doing poetry, and I remember she read this one poem that was so deep and so honest and almost self-flagellating herself, but we all felt that pain. The people on stage, myself as the viewer, the other 30 people. It was it wasn't a show at that point. It was just we were just sharing that fucking feeling together. And so much so that Jet and I will still talk about great shows, but we don't even talk about it as a show. We talk about that as almost a shared moment, Jet, or a shared feeling. I don't know, but dude, that's great that you're getting your PhD in drama.
That is cool.
It's both awesome and horrible at the same time, because you start analyzing everything about improv, this passing on culture and tradition and rituals and behaviors and sociology, and so then you come to an improv show and then you just start getting am I doing everything correctly? My God, what's going on here?
Question for everybody, but isn't that kind of, God, I love how inside baseball we're getting with it, but isn't that also kind of the point? Everything from improv is from one aspect coming from you, and that part of it is from your past, your history, your
your pain,
right?
your joy.
So you're bringing yourself to the table,
right?
And everybody's bringing themselves to the table. I also think improv is interesting because the more you talk about, the more elusive it becomes. To me, it's like holding water in your hand, and the more you try to squeeze it to like make it, make sense, the less it does. At least in my experience, especially like teaching and that kind of thing. Because people, especially beginning students, they really want you to tell them exactly what to do and to describe to them the fluid nature of it. And like the most important thing to me is just listening and taking that other person in and seeing where they're at. Like that's kind of it. The more like rules, I put that in quotes, that you add in, the more they like stumble and stop having fun. And it can get really hard to explain.
It's like a non-Newtonian fluid. You squeeze it and it just goes through your fingers.
The thing that always blows people's minds in the situations where it's like after a show and it's civilians, it's just a couple audience members come up and they've got the like, how did you do that look on their face? Or in the handful of quick like workshops or classes I've been asked to come in and help teach. Like I've never taught one by myself, but I try to make the point that like you improv nearly every second of every day. Did we plan this conversation? What? And it's so stupid, but nobody ever thinks about that. But then if that's all you let them know, it's like it gets them out of their head that they realize like they're doing it all the time. And the only thing you have to do is not think. And then, so for like a moment, they're like the best improviser in the world. And then they think, and then it all goes away.
So definitely on that point, one thing I think about is when I start a sentence, and if I think about this too much, it messes with my head and I can't talk anymore. When I start a sentence, I don't know what the last word in that sentence will be. That you just jump off the edge of a cliff and go, I'm going to open my mouth. And this thought in my head, I trust myself that when I start the sentence, I have no idea where it's going to end up. So you improvise in the middle of conversations. Like, and so I think also we hope to get, at least I hope to get, that eloquent with improv. Because in talking to Paul Valancourt, since it's like Paul Valancourt's Amazing Fest over here, that improv is like a language. It's a grammar that you learn. It's like paragraphs and punctuation, stuff like that. And that we get to put in our life experiences or our references as the actual words. But I hope to be that eloquent with improv.
Now, David, I think I would like to say that like I'd like to think that both you and I are in some form kind of disciples of that guy, because I think he's really helped us along the way, especially with the improv stuff. And I really, right? He's great. I do think though that as much as all that great stuff he teaches us, at the end of the day, and this will go back to what Jen was talking about, his big lesson is it's at the beginning of your experience, it's chop wood, carry water. And 20 years down the road, your learning experience is still chop wood, carry water. It's just that same process and repetition, and just doing the work is what really is going to bring everything home. We were talking about like the purism, like, and how you have that dogmatic mind. I think if you're fortunate enough to get past that, which I feel very fortunate to have that, then I think what substitutes maybe that dogmatism is improv becomes a philosophy for you in a bigger picture in life. It's no longer, you tell this joke and you tell the joke, blow back, and then you hit it with the punchline. No, you apply this yes and thing to life, and then that becomes infinitely interesting. It's weird how that works sometimes.
Well, to like go to the showing up thing, it's like you hang around long enough, the people who want to get something out of something are gone. Like they got it and they left, or they didn't get it and they left. And the only people who are still here, like no matter what it is, are the people who actually enjoy doing the thing. Right? Yeah. The guy who's still playing guitar in that like band in your hometown, like in his 60s, is the guy who likes playing the fucking guitar.
Yeah.
Like he's not the guy who's trying to get a record contract or whatever. He's a guy who like like sitting up in front of like a group of people and playing fucking Angel from Montgomery for the 27th time. But it's like he gets joy out of that.
And as an audience member, I want to watch people who are in love with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you are enjoying what you're doing, I will watch you do it almost no matter what it is.
I got to do an improv show on a stage for the first time in several years last week.
I saw that. That's awesome.
And like it was an hour and a half long indie show. There's several other teams going up, and the overwhelming thing you could see in every single team up there that made the entire night so magical was everyone was so incredibly overjoyed to be there.
That's awesome.
And so I saw several teams I haven't seen in a couple of years, and they were all playing at the highest I've ever seen any of them play at, because they were all just so overjoyed, and it made me feel so good. Watching them was probably better than being up there, except I was up there, and that was pretty fucking amazing too. And it was everything I wanted out of an evening.
That's awesome.
Super.
Folks, if you just put your tray tables in the upright position and lock your seats up, we'll be like, oh my God, this man in first class is having a heart attack. Is there a doctor on the flight? Is there a doctor?
I'm a doctor. I can help out here.
Good. What are you a doctor in?
I am a doctor of philosophy.
Someone call my wife.
Sir, you're having a heart attack. Shut up.
Okay.
A doctor of philosophy. I mean, sure.
I mean, I am technically a doctor. I know a lot about the heart.
I wasn't that specific. So,
that's true. Should we call for someone else, or I can give you?
You were the first one up here.
I'm also a doctor.
If you want to...
perhaps I could be of more help.
I think she's got some interesting things to comment on about this man's heart.
Let me bring my book out. It's by Kant. He has some interesting things to say. Perhaps I could read a few passages and...
Okay.
Yeah, I'm no doctor,
really
so I think it should work.
My name is David Escobedo, and I am a doctor of drama. All right, so let me help this man right now. I need a non-geographical location, sir. Sir, can you give me an area that would fit in this aisle of this plane?
A barbershop.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I heard barbershop. All right, sir.
I also heard barbershop.
Can I get a relationship? A relationship between two people. Sir, look me in the eye. I need a relationship, sir.
Man and wife. Call my wife. I'm
okay, excellent. Okay, all right. So, and now...
This is not heartburn.
And now what I need from you, sir, is an emotional state.
Dying. I'm fucking dying. Come on.
Oh, doctor of philosophy, could you provide an emotional state?
Oh, yes. There's something called the Oedipal complex, and it's where you are emotionally attached to your mother.
Perfect. This is the kind of suggestion I'm used to.
What is this? It's pearly gates. There's...
Welcome to heaven! Meet my dog, Sparky!
Legit.
And it feels so good.
I'm sitting here
totally
pointing
that.
at Steven, and he doesn't know.
Yeah, you couldn't see that, but Josh actually called Steven on his landline.
Oh, here's the carrier pigeon now.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up. We didn't get anything, I think, from Jen and Chris Sanders. Do you have any quick ones you want to add in that were your
I moved to Amsterdam. That was my big one for a couple of years.
That is a huge one. That was Boom
I relate
Chicago,
to
right?
England. Yes.
Yeah, that's a story I definitely want to get some more from you on soon.
I'll call you on your landline.
Oh, thank you. All right. I'm going to call AT&T in the morning and have them install inline.
I mean, joining the army, getting out of the army, and then also moving to LA at 35.
Wow.
Only 36 hours after getting married and driving across the country to, and likewise giving up a quite lucrative job, and it was in performance and doing an improvisational show, so it was cool. but it got old and, had to try it out here. And it's fucking hard here.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I took a break from improv for a little while, and because I felt the same way that improv started getting like formulaic. Like that would be, I think that concept of improv becoming old or formulaic or stuff I think is a very interesting concept.
I think so too.
Yeah. I did the same after I improv in college, did it like pretty nonstop, and then was like, oh, it's just like a gimmick. And the gimmick was like, oh, I was just doing shitty improv.
But not anymore.
Live and learn. Okay.
Well, yeah, and part of it was the still showing up, but when you show up, you're seeing the same type of show, and it was the dogmatic people that just got so pure and had to be a very specific way. And I mean, most of the time it was Harold's anything that strayed from that, and then it was almost a like a console war, but improv theater wars.
Yes.
Where you weren't allowed, it was laughable if you tried to perform at IO when it was IO in or Improv Olympic in Chicago, if you had been taking any classes or even hanging out anywhere near Second City.
Really?
What I always find so entertaining about the dogma is the Herald. If you're listening to this and you don't know what the Herald is, God bless you for sitting through the rest of this improv conversation.
Hey, Ray.
But what is treated like the Bible is, much like the Bible. This is people looking and saying hey, what were those things that worked a lot? We should do all those together. That's it. We should have callbacks. We should sometimes have all the people on stage at the same time. That's pretty much it.
This is consistently more successful than other stuff. So let's just aim to do this over and over and over again.
Right. Don't eat pork in the desert. It's the same thing. These are just basic survival strategies.
Improv books, the Bible, medical texts. It's all just the stuff that worked a bunch.
Yeah.
Let's write it down.
Yeah. That somehow the author is taking a big cut on.
Well, speaking of things people can take big cuts out of, I think it's time to end this nonprofit podcast.
This was awesome. Thank you so much for having me. All you are wonderful personalities. This is wonderful.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for your transatlantic appearance with a 7-month-old.
Your personality is also wonderful.
And 2 cats.
Yeah. Thank you, as always, to Matt Walker for our intro and outro music. This episode was hosted and edited by me, Jet Kaufman, and co-hosted this week by our special guest, David Escobedo. Thank you again. And this episode featured the talents of Josh Spence, Jen Burton, Chris Compton, Chris Sanders, Stephen C. James, and again, one more time, David Escobedo!
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Every scene you heard today was improvised on the spot, along with some of the ads, with only a light touch editing for your comfort. If you're loving what we're doing, pause this show real quick and write a 5-star review before you close the app, and tell a friend about us. And don't forget to wash your hair. It's gross. Seriously, I am talking to you.
Before I ask if we can start recording now, Taylor Hawkins, you will be missed. You're a part of my favorite band. I love you.
Yes.
Jet, can we start recording now?
Yes, Josh. We can start recording now.
I don't believe anything's on my time. I kicked the door on its hinges just so I could move on. Oh, oh, oh,
You know, Escobedo is direct descendant of Christopher Columbus.
By the way, Chris, I was going to pay Sanders a compliment earlier, but then Jet was like, oh, let's fix this thing that's not working about the recording.
I love that scene, Chris.
The
That
moment
was so
when you brought Jen in as the janitor, I was like, that is goddamn improv being like, hey, I'm the assistant. I'm gonna make my scene partner here look good. I'm just going to be the assistant. I would like to introduce these two awesome concepts to each other and then bow out. Thank you.
Yes.
That was very nice.
My work here is done.
That was fun.
And going back to earlier too, when we were talking about like falling in love with like a show or the community or the people, I'm gonna tell you this, David. I put together an Armando show for Acme Theater called Allegedly, where I was gonna assemble the best talent around me so I can look good and have everybody else do all the hard work.
Yeah.
And I didn't do a show, and they were so good on their own that I fell in love with just watching them. I didn't even join the team that I set out for me to be the ringer on. And I just watched them for like 50 shows, and they're still like my favorite team of all time. They were the best. So yeah, cheers to you guys.
Wait, your favorite team wasn't Bear Shark Mice? You're wrong.
Yeah.
Did you say bear shark mice?
He did, yeah.
Bear Shark Mice sucks.
Wait,
It
that's
was a
not how
Short
it's
Horse
pronounced.
spinoff.
That's not how it's pronounced.
It's the
This
cover
entire
team
time.
for the other one.
They did their own remake of Bad News Bears where they played all the characters.
I thought it was called Bear Shirt Mouse. Isn't that the name of the team?
Bear Shirt Mouse?
Yeah.
It's
the one
it's
that
changed
Flynn
every
Neal
time.
was
I
on.
love it.
Yeah.
Bear Shirt Moose.
No, that's
Yeah.
right.
The
Bear
great Canadian
Shirt
improv
Moose.
team, Bear Shirt
It's a
Moose,
German
yeah.
opera, right?